Sure. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you, Jeremy?
Yeah, good stuff. Just on Mark Wood, it's another injury hammer blow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's frustrating for Mark, and obviously for us as a side. I thought he bowled really well, especially in that second innings up top. He gives us a real point of difference at added pace, and seems to be really in good fettle when playing at the moment. So it's a frustration, for him more so than anyone else, but obviously for us as a side as well. But one we just have to deal with, and it provide opportunity for someone else to hopefully step up.
And that could be a test debut for Saqib. Is he ready for a test debut, do you feel?
I feel like Saqib couldn't be in a better place to potentially play test cricket. You look at how he's progressed over the last couple of years across all the formats. But the opportunities he's taken this year when been given them, he's been exceptional. He's been a standout bowler. He came out the back of that one-day series as probably the most experienced player and the go-to seamer that Ben went to under pressure. And it just shows how far he's come. And it's great to see that strength and depth, and now him developing as he has done over a period of time now.
How much stronger, Joe, do you think the batting is going to be with Milan coming back into the team and Haas moving up to open?
I think that David would obviously offer us a lot of experience in that top three. Not necessarily in terms of international experience in Test cricket, but he has played a huge amount of international cricket now. He's dealt with pressure situations. He's played a lot of red ball cricket over the course of his career, and he's also had great success. He's played in a massive series in Australia away and been our leading run scorer out there. So we know that he's capable of big things in Test match cricket, and he's coming off the back of, again, I mean, it's only one score in county championship cricket, but it's a big one, as well as some brilliant scores at high pressure cricket in the short format too.
And how do you see Haas and Burns as maybe an opening partnership in this Test match?
Yeah, I mean, they're two fine players. They're very, very different in their styles, but it's an opportunity for them to go and make some big runs and get us off to a good start, and hopefully we can follow through on that.
Joe, the news on Jos Buttler, he's suggesting he may not be around for the end of the series and is missing the resumption of the IPL and maybe not going to the Ashes. Can you offer some clarification on what's happening there?
Sorry, can you ask that question again? I didn't hear the start of it.
Yeah, Jos Buttler's been suggesting he may not be around for the end of the India series. He's not going to the resumption of the IPL and suggesting he may not go to the Ashes given a new child on the way. Can you offer any clarification on what's happening with Jos?
I can't clarify anything at this stage. That's a conversation that we'll have closer to the time, and one that will have to be made further down the line. I think for me and for us as a team, we've got to focus on this week and trying to make sure we get ourselves leveled up in this series.
Great stuff. And just finally from me, the ECB have been talking this morning about what a success the 100's been. But has it been, do you feel, honestly, to the detriment of the England team in the Test series this summer?
I think that the 100 has been fantastic. I must admit, I've really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely added something new to cricket within our country. It's been brilliant for the women's game in particular, and you've seen some high quality cricket in the men's format. I don't think it's necessarily a reason for anything in terms of red ball cricket in England. I think there's a number of different things that could factor into that, and that will, I'm sure, be considered for the coming seasons. But as players, as captain of the Test team, we've got to look after what's right here in front of us and what we can look after right now, and that's trying to make sure we get the group of players ready to perform well for this next Test match.
Listen, I know you've got a ton of stuff, plenty of cricket matters on your plate to keep you busy, but with the Azim Rafiq story developing, I'm sure that's something you've been aware of, and just with the match this week being at Headingley yourself, well-known Yorkshire face, I just wonder, without probably getting into too many specifics, how you I just guess what you'd like to say about that situation as England captain.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speculate or comment too much on a report that I've not seen. As a former teammate and friend, it's hard to see Azim hurting as he is. And I think more than anything, I think he's just shows that there's still a lot of work that we have to do as a game. There's over the last couple of years, it's a societal issue, in my opinion. Seen it in other sports, seen it in other areas. And as a sport, we've got to keep trying to find ways of making sure that this isn't a conversation that keeps happening. We've got to find ways of, creating more opportunities, making our game more diverse, educating better. And I don't think that just comes from players and administrators. I think that's everyone involved in the game. And there's got to be a want to do that and a will to do that. But certainly I think it's something that we have to prioritize as a sport and make sure that, this isn't something that happens again further down the line.
And will you have the moment of unity here? Is that an important thing that the England team continues to show, make some sort of gestures in that direction?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that we do. We have to keep showing that we need to keep, trying to create opportunities, trying to show that the sport is for everyone, and that we're desperate to make everyone aware of that and feel welcome to it. It's such a brilliant sport, and it should be enjoyed by absolutely everyone. Hopefully through different things that we can, small things that we can gestures that we can do at the minute on the field and around the games, then we absolutely have to take the opportunity to do them. We have to do more. I get that. We're very keen on doing more as well. I'll be honest, it has been quite difficult to force action with COVID and the restrictions around what we've been allowed to do in bubbles and things like that. But as a team, it's a big focus for us is to make the game for everyone and to make it as best as we can and as welcoming as we can. So hopefully, I know we keep talking about it. I'm desperate to do something about it, but hopefully in time, you can see that come into action.
Thanks. And then just one back to sort of more standard cricketing issues. Do you look at David as someone who maybe, we do hear a lot about give the guys one more game than rather give them one few game. Is he someone who maybe lost his spot a little early, and is that a sort of something that's been put right now with his recall?
I mean, you could look back at a number of different things, selections, and in hindsight, everything can look very different. But one thing I say about David is he's a fine player. He's had to deal with a number of different pressures throughout his career, throughout his international career as well, and he's come through swimmingly. So, as I say, very experienced. We'll be desperate to take the opportunity if given it, and he'll be wanting to do everything he can to make that spot his own.
Yeah, just on the batting, I mean, a couple of the guys you would have hoped would be bankers by now, Sibley and Crawley, have been dropped. Perhaps Pope hasn't kicked on. Pope, Dan Lawrence has shown glimpses, but not established himself. Are you surprised or disappointed, really, that the top order is not functioning quite how it should be? I
think that it's almost been it's been a very challenging summer in terms of the opposition that we've had. We've come across some challenging surfaces as well, and we've just got to keep looking to find ways of getting better, keep improving ourselves individually. Collectively, I think the most important thing when you look at batting in Test cricket, it revolves around big partnerships. When two guys bat for a period of time, the game can look completely different. And that's got to be our focus as a batting group. We've got to keep looking at making those big, substantial partnerships, which really could put you in strong positions as a team. And in England in particular, starting your innings can be the most, that is the hardest thing to do. So how can we make sure we prevent that happening as frequently as it has in the last couple of Test matches? One thing I will say is on the last game, I think first innings was an example of us improving from the first game, and we've got more knowledge and we've shown in small glimpses in that last game that we are capable of making substantial partnerships. So it's going again now. It's going and being better again and making sure that, given the opportunity, you get yourself in there, you get to 20-30, you go and make it a big one. And you put that on yourself and you put that on your partner at the other end. And, you have that bit between your teeth that gets us into a really strong position, gets those runs on the board, and gives our bowlers a real good opportunity to go and win as a Test match.
But you're the only one getting the big ones, Joe. I mean, you can't be expected to keep carrying the batting match after match.
As I said after the last game, there's been plenty of other times when I've been the one that's missed out and others have come to the front. I know in the last couple of games it has been me that's scored the majority of the runs, but it's no reason why someone else can't do that on this occasion. From my point of view, I want to keep producing big scores, and this week's an opportunity for others to do exactly the same. So hopefully we can take that chance as a team. We can make those big partnerships and we can get those big runs on the ball.
Hi, Joe. Virat Kohli obviously likes to get involved in a few things on the field. Do you have a policy dealing with him? Is it best to give him the silent treatment or go hard at him as well, or does that fire him up even more?
I think the most important for us is the theatre and everything else surrounding the game. Is we've got to make sure that we play the game how we want to play it, and we look after that the best as we can, and not get too distracted or drawn into anything that's not us. We've got to be genuine to ourselves, genuine to how we are as individuals and how we are collectively, and be as good as we can be at the way that we go about things. Virat and his team will play how they play. I just want us to go out and be the best version of it we can be.
Will you speak to the players about dealing with him particularly?
I think there are always conversations. You're always trying to find 1%ers in ways you can deal with different situations within the game and within the test match. And I think we've done some good learning off the back of the last game. I think we could have managed certain areas differently. Me as the captain, as mentioned after the game, different passages in that last innings and in that third innings as well, where we could have gone about things slightly differently. So, look, there's 3 massive games to play in this series. There's a lot to play for, and we're desperate to.
Hi, Joe. I just wanted to check that other than Woody, everyone else in the squad was fit and available to play this week.
As far as I'm aware, fingers crossed, yeah.
And Jimmy's pulled up okay after Lords. I know he had an issue, didn't he, on the eve of that game?
Yeah, everyone's seems in fine fettle with. Hopefully we can get through to tomorrow as well. And yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Sorry, still got me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get through tomorrow well, and then we can make selection purely on conditions.
Hi, Joe. I just wondering, other than not speaking to us a day out from the game, what are you doing to kind of keep yourself in the zone that you find yourself in at present? Because obviously it's a serious run of form that you're in. What are the sort of specific things you're doing to try and keep yourself in that place?
Well, firstly, I want to say thank you for appreciating that, and
it's fine.
But I think more than anything, I made a few technical changes over the last period of time, and I've sort of gone back to something that I did a little while ago. But having made those changes to something else, it made me work out and appreciate a bit more of what made the initial movements and triggers that I had so useful, and where I scored my runs, how I scored them, and it just gave me a better understanding of my game. So if I didn't go through all of that, then I wouldn't have that clarity in how I've been able to play so far in the series. Sometimes it's that I suppose that old adage of you have to take a little bit of a backward step to come forward, and feel like I'm reaping the rewards of that at the minute. I think I've obviously over a period of time found myself getting out between 50 and 100. I feel like I've managed those phases a little bit better, just through a better understanding of what I want to play, what I want to leave, where I want to score my runs, where the risk is to certain types of bowlers. And I suppose just even more experience within the game, having played a little bit more. So a culmination of all those things, really.
Cool. And can I just ask, in the sort of last week, how have you kind of processed what happened at Lords? What are the kind of things that you've taken from that? Once the sort of emotion of having lost has died down, what are the kind of things you've taken from that period, thinking about it?
I think one thing is it's really important to learn, but it's not to drag it into this week, this test match. We'll have new challenges, new surface, completely new test match to deal with, and yeah, I'm a more experienced player of having experienced that and gone through that, and we are as a team as well. So as long as we don't make similar mistakes, I think we'll grow and become a better team. Personally, you can beat yourself up for hours and hours about decisions and things that you could have done differently, but ultimately it doesn't guarantee you anything. There've been I'm sure there'll be other ex-captains out there that have found themselves in similar situations. Will look back at different passages of play that they could have managed differently. You know, you look, even for an example, you look back at the last Test match that we had at this ground, you know, and I'm sure Payne might have dealt with that slightly differently given another opportunity. But it's part and parcel of the job. Sometimes you've got to take it on the chin. You've got to find ways of, you know, looking at it. If you find yourself in a similar situation, can you manage it better? And sometimes, you know, once you've got as much out of it as you can, draw a line under it, and, you know, have a clear head going into the next game.
Hey Joe, good to see you. Given what's happened this summer with the injuries and you dad all the off the field stuff, and on top of being in a COVID bubble, I just want to ask, how are you? How are you dealing with staying positive and keeping that enthusiasm?
I'm playing for England. I'm playing Test cricket. It's quite easy to stay positive in that respect. You know, I'm living my boyhood dream, and I think constantly we're trying to remind myself that as well when we are having the odd tough day or things aren't always going on our ways. When I was 10 years old, I couldn't think of anything else I wanted to do. So I think living that boyhood dream is one way that you can constantly keep motivating yourself to front up to the next challenge and the next day. Look, I'm not going to lie, it's the last year and a half, however, it's been challenging for everyone involved in it. Even like these press conferences, not being able to sit and have a conversation with people, to do it over Zoom, it's not ideal. Everyone wants to get back to doing things how they have been, but you've got to manage it as best as you can. You've got to find ways of dealing with certain scenarios and aspects of this current climate. And you know, I'm a cricket tragic at heart. I love the game. I love batting. So every opportunity to try and do that, I'll try and take.
And just how beneficial has it been to have some time off after that Lord's Test, just to take stock and go again ahead of a huge free test matches coming up?
Yeah, it's been huge. I think everyone's really enjoyed that opportunity to go home and, you know, be present with their families, have their own space again, and just have a sense of normality. Get away from cricket a little bit, get away from that sort of pressure environment, and come back refreshed. So I feel like it will certainly serve as well coming into the rest of this week.
Yeah, hi Joe.
Hiya.
Yeah, Joe, you have played against some of the best attacks in the world, be it Australian seamers, South Africa, New Zealand, namely. And so according to your opinion, where does this Indian pace attack rank among them? And if you have to share something about the Indian pacers, who do you think have been troubling the England batsmen the most? Obviously, you have been playing pretty much all of them well, but where do you think the other English batsmen need to improve, and who has been troubling them the most?
I think credit to India. They've got a wonderful attack. And I think you look around Test cricket around the world at the minute. There are some, as you mentioned, some fantastic bowling attacks out there that a lot of them do suit English conditions or have the exploits to manage these conditions very well. India have certainly done that so far in this series, and we've got to keep being smart about finding ways to counter that. I think one thing they have is they have a good balance. They have variety. They have different release points. You know, as players, you've got to just keep finding ways to counter that, finding ways to get off strike, finding ways to score, put the odd bit of pressure back on them, and as well be able to soak it up on occasions too.
Hi, Joe, at a time when you sort of almost single-handedly have been carrying England's batting, is it a bit frustrating or rather disappointing not to have Ben Stokes in the side who could have provided him with his on-field exploits? After the short stage, do you have any conversation with Ben in terms of his return to?
No, I'm not having conversations with Ben about his turn to cricket. He needs to spend some time looking after Ben and doing what's right for him. For a long time, he's put this team and England cricket ahead of a number of different things, and I think it's important that people respect that. I certainly do as England captain, and you know, from my point of view, there's no pressure on him to do anything other than look after himself right now.
Good afternoon, Joe. All the best for the Headingley test. But, the Lord's test had a lot of action. I mean, it was quite a power-packed test match. And there was also a lot of heat in the middle. There was a lot of aggression in the middle. So how challenging does it become, emotionally? You're playing at home, and when you're seeing an opponent side coming and going at you like that, how challenging does it become to play cricket in that kind of a circumstance? And would you say this is the most aggressive Indian side that you have met?
I'd say when you're out there in the middle, it does sometimes when it does get a bit heated, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're at home or away. Sometimes it's a passage of play that you have to manage well, and I managed it better than us on that occasion. But as I say, we've got to just make sure that we go about our cricket how we want to. We've got to look after that best possible way. But yeah, it's part of the game. One thing I will say, I thought it was a brilliant test match for a neutral. Obviously, hurt a lot being on as an England player and England captain, us being on that side of the result. But what a fabulous test match! What an advert for the greatest format of the game. And for every cricket lover out there, just shows the excitement and the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the to and fro of 5-day cricket is just, it can't be beaten if you ask me.